never really wanted just to linger around. Kirk, you leave?
Yeah. He hadn't eaten yet. He didn't eat yet.
All right, we're just about to start.
Okay, sounds good.
I was in the truck.
7:30.
All right, everybody, welcome to the March 9th, 2026 meeting of the School Board of Directors. I'd like to ask Mrs. DeLong to take roll.
Mr. Bard?
Here.
Mr. Carey?
Here.
Mrs. Wolfinger?
Here.
Dr. Goetz?
Here.
Dr. Lyman?
Here.
Mr. Noggle?
Here.
Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Alosi?
Here. We can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we begin our deliberations this evening, let's once again be reminded of our duty to represent all of the children of the school community, regardless of age, sex, race, or creed, and regardless of the need or ability. This meeting is being live streamed and uploaded to the district YouTube channel. May we now have a moment of silence to reflect on our thoughts, plans, and actions on behalf of the students in the Shippensburg Area School District. Ask for a moment of silence for Ronald Lee Kozer, 1971 graduate of Shippensburg Area School District. Dennis Lehman, 1974 graduate of Shippensburg Area School District. Moving forward, item 1F is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
No, Mr. Alosi.
With that, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Mrs. Wolfinger,
Second.
Mr. Scott seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The agenda is approved. Next, citizen comments regarding agenda items. If there's anybody here who would like to provide comment, please come to the microphone, identify yourself by name, borough, township, and indicate which agenda item you were speaking about. Has anybody signed up for public comment?
I did not see anyone.
You said yes?
No, there's no one signed
Okay.
up.
We'll move on to item number 3 for reports. First off, Any
Mr.
student rep?
Leo's not present.
okay, we'll move to 3B, which is the Buildings and Grounds Committee report.
Mr. Noggle,
Yes.
are you able to give a buildings and
Yeah, I
grounds
can do
report?
that. All right. Facilities met, and we went through some discussions on one of the agenda items tonight, basketball hoops, the gym, and it is proven that we have additional expense to talk about and coming up where we're going to have to remove portions of the ceiling. I don't have it in front of me, but I believe it was like $56,000 to pull down the ceilings. So that would be in addition to the original approved basketball hoops that we originally talked about and approved a while back. We talked about the options once again, and we kind of talked about adding an option. We had a fourth option to talk about, which was a middle school project. And we have EI looking at some options in that respect. Matter of fact, I went down and met with them today to give them a little guidance on that. They're going to be presenting some information on the facilities committee, I guess it is, on the 18th, I believe, Bill, is that right?
Yes, sir.
So I don't have my notes in front of me at the moment, but those were a couple of the items that we talked about. Bill, could you add to anything else that I missed?
I believe you covered it. We discussed the swimming pool issues that we're experiencing and possible mitigation of that. But I think beyond that, you've covered it.
Okay, that's it.
Are there any questions for the Facilities Committee?
I I'm on the committee. Have we heard, you sent the letter out, Superintendent, about the updates for the stadium? Is that, your letter, you're telling us about things, the
I mean, the punch list?
punch list. Is that, I couldn't understand, was that things have done recently or things that done before?
So that's just the updated, they went through and that's what's, that report is what still needs to be done or, had some notes.
Because it had some things on it that the school district approved, and I hadn't heard them. Did we approve them, or who approved them?
So in order to use the track, Fred, like we had to, there were a couple things that we couldn't fix over the winter time, and so in order to use it, we had to sign off on some things to make it, to make it possible for us to have home meets.
Well, I know you discussed that before, but they're still responsible for repairing, making it.
So I asked for K&W to facilitate a meeting so we can make sure we know exactly which ones, are we either are accepting it as satisfactory or that they need to come back, because I was unsure myself on all those.
That's I understand. I'm just concerned about say the school district signs off on it, and I just don't want them to be able to use that against us when it comes time.
As do I, Mr. Scott.
For the pool, they were supposed to come out today, correct?
They had to reschedule to tomorrow.
To tomorrow.
They being aqua specialists.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 3C, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Lucy. So total district enrollment is listed on the sheet is 3,768. It's actually 369. I looked it up today. So we are actually somewhat level over the last couple months. And I believe I ran some numbers based on projections. We're actually about 66 students below the conservative end of year number for 2026, and about 114 below the moderate. So we're doing well, and in terms of not having escalating, overwhelming enrollment hitting us all at once. Okay, so at the elementary level, we have 511 at James Byrd, 567 at Nancy Grayson, for a total of 1,164. That includes 86 at G Blues. Sorry. Intermediate school is clocking in at 615, 559 being face-to-face. The middle school face-to-face number is 847, and the high school is 904, with a total of 1,096 for the high school. So, again, steady enrollment from the last couple months. Any questions on that? Donation report. I'd like to give a shout out to our music boosters. They've been very generous. Monetary donation to support the senior high, $800. Another monetary donation to support fifth grade band, $2,541.53. We have a monetary donation going towards unpaid lunches at all buildings of $500 from Cleversburg UM Crafters. And we received a $350 donation from the Kiwanis Club for the facility dog Harry. Boyo Transportation also donated bikes and helmets as a part of PBIS rewards. The value of that donation was $1,978.65. So thank you to anyone who may be from Boyo. That's all I have for now.
I believe Mr. Suiters is here from Boyo.
I'd like to thank you, Mr. Suiters, from Boyo, on behalf of the district. So thank you.
Moving on, we'll discuss the consent agenda. Item 4A is approval of the minutes. 4B, finance report. 4C, program of studies revised. 4D, the personnel with professional staff. Administration recommends approval of the following. Maggie Schatzer for an ABA teacher at the intermediate school. approval of the contract, professional contract status for tenure for the following: Samantha Letts for life support teacher, Mary Carruthers, Melissa Moats. Recommending the approval for the following leave of absence: Mary Byers. Administration recommends the approval of the following temporary transfer: Ashley Soul. Administration recommended the approval of the recommended following promotion: Byron Smith. Administration recommends approval of the following support staff employees who have successfully completed the 30-day probationary period: Rachel Chamberlain. Recommending approval for the following new appointments: Ann Hutchinson. Administration recommends approval of the following substitute: Tricia Graham. Supplemental staff. Administration recommends approval for the following resignations: Gregory Laufer, Grace Spencer. Administration recommends the approval of the following transfer: Thomas Silverstrom Jr. Administration recommends approval of the following new mentors for the 25-26 school year: Charity Fry. Administration recommends the approval of the following new appointees: Christopher Reinhardt. Are there any items anyone would like to take separately? I'll take a motion to approve item 4D.
Let's go. Make a motion to approve 4D.
Mr. Scott made a motion. Second by Mr. Carey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5 in the action agenda, 5A, a board vacancy. On March 5th, 2026, Darren Donovan submitted his letter of resignation from the Shippensburg Area School District Board of Directors, effective immediately. The administration recommends the board accept Mr. Donovan's resignation. Once the board accepts Mr. Donovan's resignation, the administration will begin the process of providing notice to the community and collecting applications. As a point of order, there's 30 days from the time of the resignation until a new board member must be appointed. I believe our intent is to have that position reappointed at the next public board meeting.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
So since we've got, I don't know, however many viewers at home, can we specify who can apply and what the process would be?
Absolutely. This is a Zone A position.
That's Cumberland County outside of the borough.
Thank you. So any member who's a resident from Zone A may put in an application packet to the district, and we will collect those. And that process would then be they would come to the board meeting and introduce themselves and answer any questions.
You say packet, but it's just a letter, right? Just
Right.
a letter of interest.
Yeah.
And do we have a deadline?
Not yet, but in the communication, we'll definitely have it. It has to be screened time for the next board meeting. The goal is on the 23rd to have those individuals identified and invited to the board meeting.
Yeah. I'm just asking these questions just because I just want people to know that we are inviting their letters. Please send your letters. I'm not sure what the deadline is, but I guess that will be advertised. And then if we follow past practice, we'll invite you to the board meeting and give you a chance to sort of introduce yourself and explain why you'd want to be on the board, but it's not like an interview process. And then the board will select someone from those candidates. And then I believe that they would be serving until the next election, so that's a little over a year and a half.
Correct, and they would have to run for reelection
Yeah,
if they wished to continue holding that seat.
thanks.
Is there a prescribed process in board policy for this as far as timeline? Is there a letter to specific entities such as newspapers, same things we do for notice for public meetings?
Correct, we would do the same process. I don't know that it's outlined in policy, but we would advertise it in the same way we advertise board meetings, put it on our website and try to get the word out.
I think there's something in the state law about it, so it might be worth having a conversation with the solicitor just to make sure that we're following the appropriate process.
I did talk with the solicitor.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Just to be clear, the board has 30 days to appoint someone. If the board does not appoint someone, then it can be, taken out of the board's hands and, go through a different process.
So if we're sticking to a schedule for the 23rd at the next board meeting, then looking at the calendar would make sense. Maybe we make the deadline the 20th of March.
I would say 18th, 19th, or 20th to allow us time to screen it. So it is a bit of a quick turnaround because we have that meeting on the 23rd. The board can also advertise a different board, within that 30-day window. If the board were to give me direction to say, no, we want more time, we could call a special meeting just to do this. My hope is, just out of convenience and respect for the board members' time, that we're able to get a quality candidate pool for the 23rd. But should we not, that can be extended out, although, it's fairly close to that 30-day limit there.
Yeah, okay.
I think it makes sense to go with the earlier date of like the 18th, like you said, Mr. August.
We're in charge. Can we just say the
Saturday,
18th?
18th.
I just think that adds some clarification.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so too.
All right, so that's Wednesday, the 18th. You have 9 days to submit your letter of interest. Thank you.
And that would be Hopewell Township, Shippensburg Township, Southampton Township, Cumberland County. And anybody that lives in those areas.
Newburgh.
Newburgh Borough also.
Newburgh Borough, correct. Any other questions? Okay, moving on to the next action item would be 5B, open nominations for board president.
I think we need to make a motion on 5A.
That would come from the floor.
Yeah, so and we have to vote to accept it.
Yeah.
We need to make a motion.
I move to approve 5A.
Second.
Okay, that's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Donovan, for your service. 5B, opening nominations for board president. Is there a motion to open board nominations?
Make a motion?
Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second would be Mr. Scott. Nominations are open.
I nominate Drew Lucy.
I second that.
I guess the question would be, is the nomination the second, and does the individual accept?
We accept the other nominations.
Are there other nominations?
I think that kind of depends on if you accept.
That's why I kind of paused, because I was really thinking about
That was very dramatic, Mr. Lucy.
I'm not trying to be dramatic.
It's rethinking life choices.
I'll accept. Is there another nomination for somebody?
Nobody else crazy enough.
All right, so there's a nomination on the floor for, this is awkward, Drew Alosi to be elected president. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Bard,
Yes.
Mr. Carey,
Yes.
Mrs. Wolfinger,
Yes.
Dr. Goetz,
Yes.
Dr. Lyman,
Yes.
Mr. Noggle,
Yes.
Mr. Scott,
Yes.
Mr. Alosi.
Abstain. Because of this change, there's a position of vice president for the school board that is now vacant. I would accept a motion to fill that position.
I make a motion for Ms. Wolfinger to be vice president.
Motion on the floor is for Ms. Wolfinger to fill the role of vice president. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Bard, a second. Discussion? Are there other nominations on the floor or being offered? Oh, important question. Would you accept that if you were?
Yes.
there other nominations that would like to be offered? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call.
Mr. Bard?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Dr. Goetz?
Yes.
Dr. Lyman?
Yes.
Mr. Noggle?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Losi?
Yes. Congratulations, Ms. Wolfinger. Next item is 5E, Transportation Contract. Administration recommends approval of the attached 5-year transportation contract for regular education, special education, non-public transportation services with Boyo Transportation, Heckmeyer's, Freese, beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031. Version 2 is adjusted for fuel and insurance clauses for Boyo. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Wolfinger. Roll call?
You want to do any discussion?
Oh, any discussion, sorry.
I do got a question. Can you explain to me why this does not need signed before we vote on it?
So the board has to approve the contract first that they're willing to offer, and then we send it out to our contractors. We've been in constant communication with the
I
contractors.
just need to understand why.
That was the direction that I was given, that the board has to approve the contract first, and then we send it out to the contractors. They sign it. So, and then it comes back to us.
So what if it goes to them after we've already said yes to it, and then there's something that they're not lining up with?
Well, we've had multiple conversations with them, so that shouldn't happen. I mean, I would say it would have to come back then. So
Okay.
yeah,
So we're
But
approving
we've-
it to be offered.
To be offered.
Yeah. that where you agree with everything.
Then after they sign it, it'll come back for us.
Well, then
Not
we've
for-
already approved it.
Not for
so,
approval, it'll just
yeah.
be in effect for
Yep.
signatures, Mr. Scott.
So we're signing after you approve it, then we sign it, and then we send it to them, and they sign it.
So are the terms agreeable by the bus companies, all three?
I would say yes, because we've gone back and forth with them multiple times about everything in the contract. I have lots and lots of back and forth communication, both in email and in person. So we've had lots of opportunities to discuss every bullet point that's in the contract, so I feel confident.
And our timeline was far earlier for this, correct?
It was supposed to be in January.
And so all those ongoing
Yes,
conversations are
is
why we're approving it in March?
correct.
Okay.
Additional questions, comment?
Guess I would just ask, would you have preferred something different?
I just thought a contract should be signed before we're voting on it. And that's why I was asking.
Okay.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and that's fine if I am, but I just thought that a contract should be signed, everything signed, and okay, now we're voting on that contract. And maybe this is how you do it. It just seems to me like, I don't know, like I said, maybe I'm wrong, and that's fine. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I guess the contract signed is what I was thinking that we should be voting on.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm just asking.
So if we approve, we sign it, and then it goes to the contractors. If there is any adjustment, there would be an amendment that would be back to us if it's that big of an issue.
I wouldn't anticipate that because, like I said, I've had so many
Right.
phone calls, in-person meetings, emails. But I mean, I can do it a different way in the future. I guess that's just why I'm asking. Like, if you want something different, let me know.
Well, I don't know. I guess the thing of it is if nothing's signed, like you said, I guess I'll just have to come back if something don't go right. We're coming back to the board. If they say, well, we want this, this, and this, and because we don't agree with that, so it's all coming back. And like I said, I don't know. I don't know if I want anything different. I just to me, I would feel more comfortable if I knew they were accepting what we offered. Right now, yes, you talk to them, but that don't mean they can't say no.
And they probably feel the same way, which is like, they don't want to sign a contract that doesn't have our approval.
Of 9, right?
So somebody's got to go first, I guess.
So
We-
we're going first.
Yeah.
Okay. Just nail it or something.
We still have to take a vote on this item, so.
Exactly, yeah. We have to vote on it.
That's fine.
And if for whatever reason the terms are non-agreeable, they come back, it will come back to us unsigned, and we'll figure out what that is. But I'm comfortable moving forward. At this point, is there any other discussion? Ask for a roll call.
Mr. Bard?
Yes.
Mr. Carey?
Yes.
Mrs. Wolfinger?
Yes.
Dr. Goetz?
Yes.
Dr. Lyman?
Yes.
Mr. Noggle?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Losi?
Yes. All right, moving on to,
Just real quick, I should have said this before, but I just really appreciate all the work that went into this. I know this was a super hassle this go around, and so thank you for all of the background work that you did to make this happen.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And thanks to Randy Bybee. Yep.
Thank you.
and I appreciate the 5-year term because we don't have to worry about this for a while.
That is a huge upside.
You should get free rides on the buses.
Wheels go.
Sure,
round
they
and
would
round.
take me anywhere.
All right, so moving on to discussion agenda, item 6A, and these are all up for discussion, so I can take these one at a time. Field trip request. Item 6B is senior class trip for 2026. I can't see. Item 6C is Avent mini grant. Item 6D is ESS Northeast agreement. Item 6E is Sentinel One. Item 6F is laptop replacements for the elementary teachers. Item 6G is networking equipment. Item 6H, capital area intermediate unit general operating budget for the 26-27 school year. Item 6I is a summer food service program and staffing for 2026. Item 6J is K-12 guidance plan. Item 6K is the installation of additional high school basketball rims. Item 6L, capital area intermediate unit letter of commitment. Item 6M is engagement with EI Associates as architects on future projects. This is up for discussion. Are there any items a board member would like to discuss?
6F, I did ask some questions in an email.
No, I appreciate getting these questions ahead of time. Thank you. I'm going to defer to Dr. Stevens.
Okay. The teacher laptops right now were purchased in 2021, so they're 5 years old. I hope I get these in the right order. The efficiency study, they recommended us to use state contracts and standardize on vendors, so we did only go with Dell for a quote. We did, check their quote, and I got new pricing here today just to verify. There's $150, over $150 cheaper than what the state contract pricing is. On a lot of the vendors, like they have the reseller you use last gets preferential pricing compared to any of the other competitors. So it's very rare that it would be a different vendor than what you've used the previous time. Sometimes they won't even let other vendors put in a quote. Okay, about switching devices. If we went with the Apple devices, I didn't price them this year, and historically they're a lot more expensive, but our teachers have not used the Apple devices, so it would be a lot of training time and training days to switch to Apple devices, and we'd have to verify all the software we used, if our license would switch to the Apple versions, or if we'd have to buy new licenses to be compatible with the Mac OS. When it comes to the Chromebooks for the teachers, that would make life a lot easier. The problem is the interactive panels, they don't work with the Chromebooks. Teachers lose a lot of functionality with that. Some of the specialty software the teachers use will not work. And it would take, training for the teachers to switch them off Microsoft Office and so forth, or to use the online versions to go to the Chromebooks. When it comes to the screen size, the last round, there in in 2020 when we started. Well, we do the secondary, then elementary. We did survey the teachers, and the touch screens are what everybody wanted for working with the when they're not at the board, so they could work with the manipulatives. It was much easier if they had the touch screen. So I asked for current pricing. The touch screen, if we went with a non-touch screen 16-inch, it would save us just under $18 a device. In the past, Dell used to be like a 15.6-inch screen. Now they're 16 and 14, and I feared like 14-inch would be a little small. If we went with a 14-inch touch screen, the price would actually go up just over $4. If we went with a 14-inch non-touch, it would go down $24.39. Yeah, I didn't understand why the price would go down or go up with that. Part of it goes as whatever's the most common, they get the higher quantities, be a little more effective. And that's why we went with the 16-inch, and the touch screens. If you need me repeating those numbers.
You started off with Dell, and that there's a different avenue to buy those computers at $150 less than what the state contract was. Is that reflected in the $182,000?
Yes, that is the quote. It's cheaper than the state contract.
The original state contract, that would have been how much?
Well, I didn't work up the math. It was just over $150 more is the state contract pricing. When you bid out quantities, they usually do beat state contract because that's the price they've got set to you for one.
Got it. Okay.
Were these budgeted?
They were part of our 5-year, our long-range cycle. Every 5 years, we replace the teacher devices. Last year, we replaced the secondary teacher devices, then be on our cycle to replace the ones for the elementary teachers.
So they were not in this year's budget?
They weren't in this year's budget. They will be for next year's budget. But if we can order them now, the prices are going to go up. They're looking at here in April, and we usually do order now, or before when the prices weren't going up, we'd order in April. That way we would get them in May and June, so we would have time to get them ready for the teachers. If we wait till July 1, they're not going to get here till September. And the teachers, we have to do transitions while they're teaching.
So then for next year's budget, then this amount won't have to be spent next year because
Correct.
it will have been purchased early in advance.
Correct.
Understood.
So 2 questions for you. What's the plan for the old ones?
We would go through the old ones. We are having some battery issues with some of them. We would place some of the the clock-in swipe computers, some of the older ones there. Some of the classroom assistants that are using Chromebooks, they're doing a little bit more. The ones that were a Windows device would be better. We can switch some of those with that, but they're not. But they're going to know they're not going to be quite as reliable. We can't guarantee that how long they will last. And some will become spares for the substitute teachers when we have a substitute in.
And then the other question, so 5 years, is that pretty standard? I mean, this seems like a really short window. Like, I've had my laptop for 10 years, and it still runs like when I got it.
It probably doesn't have Windows 11 on to be compatible with our cybersecurity. The ones we have now are compatible, with Windows 11. So they are on Windows 11, so they do meet cybersecurity standards. Usually a 3 to 5 year replacement cycle is what they recommend. In our efficiency study, they were saying for student devices that go home, they recommend every 3 years. Devices that stayed in the district 6 years. For Windows devices, 5 years has been the industry standard.
Was that study shared out to the board at any point? Do you know?
The efficiency study, yes.
Can you? I might not have been. Drew and I might not have been on the board at that point. Is there any way
Sure.
that can be forwarded to us?
Yep. Okay, any other items?
Can I piggyback off that computer? Excuse me. How bad is our computers being damaged? What kind of hit are we taking?
I mean, for the teacher devices, it's very minimal. For the student devices, now at the middle school, they're not going home. It has, drastically decreased. But we do have, I think we had one drop today and broke the screen, and we have, and keys, keyboards dying.
What happens when that happens?
If they're under warranty, we let the warranty handle them. If not, it depends on the model. and what's wrong with the device. We'll either get the replacement parts and my staff will switch out the parts, or that one will become, that device will be one we use for parts to fix other devices.
Okay, Superintendent, we don't let the students take Chromebooks home anymore because of this.
So K through 8, we do not.
Yeah.
So the middle school, that happened kind of mid-year last year.
Yeah. But we as the teachers don't require homework or anything like that on a Chromebook.
So they've adjusted instructionally. You know, I haven't heard from the middle school administration that there have been any issues.
They're taking care of it. Okay, I just
I mean,
heard.
from the back end, not having them at home cuts down on screen time and also our repairs. You know,
Correct.
so getting lugged back, and you know, you're just multiplying the instances where something bad can happen, even if someone's not trying to damage it.
It happens.
Yeah.
I just wondered about homework. Are teachers requiring homework that when on a Chromebook and the student don't have the Chromebook?
So we would not hold someone accountable for something at home when they wouldn't have a device. I say that I need to check, but I'm confident that we would not punish a student for not doing homework at home on a device they don't have.
Okay.
I've not gotten any complaints from any parents or students for that happening, and I'm pretty sure I would have.
Okay.
Any other comments on items for discussion?
6K. The high school basketball rims are starting to feel a little bit like the dirt pile.
I actually had a funny name for that, Mr.
That cost at the end, $66,000. Is that with?
That is not with the ceiling.
No ceiling.
That's just to get these things up.
But it'll be finished.
So the board, we have to get from the buildings and grounds. The question is whether or not the air handlers can handle the extra space that if we take down the ceiling, can those units handle the extra cooling and heating in that space? So, you know, Mr. Drawball that's kind of there's a twofold kind of thing here. One is approval of these things, and then kind of a branching decision on whether or not we take down the ceiling and just reconfigure that with paint, or if they can't handle it, then we're kind of in the area where we have to replace or put the ceiling back up.
Correct. I thought they went from couldn't to could, and we were going to go with no ceiling, but that was never confirmed.
I think we want to make sure that we're not going to break any warranties on the units.
Okay.
And
Very good.
so I expect an answer by the next building and grounds.
Thank you.
So what does a potential cost look like for either one of those options?
I would say another $56,000.
For redoing the ceiling or taking down and putting back up the tiles?
So there's cost either way.
Yeah.
To take down and put back up, I believe it was 56. Is that right, Mr. Noggle?
That is correct.
Okay. To keep it down, we're then going to have the cost of having to paint all the accoutrements up above. So there will be, I don't know what that cost would be.
Tim was said he was going to look into the contact of the people for this price.
Why wasn't this done originally?
This came on after the project had been approved. This was like an add-on at the request of, it was either the athletic committee or the facilities committee. So this was a self goal in terms of the board wanted to add these baskets, but we had already done all the design work. All the other information was completed, so.
I think, I mean, I wasn't on the board, and I remember sitting at a facilities meeting when this was being discussed, and I believe, actually, I think Mr. Scott had asked the question about this, whether this was going to happen. I think you jinxed it.
No, it didn't. Somebody just gave the superintendent and our facility director some bad information. They said they had to inspect it. We didn't have to inspect it; it'd be over with by now. We've gone on about our business, so we just didn't get the right information, or weren't told the right information. And the people that made this, gave the information, are gone. So here we are.
Wow.
So again, that item is on for discussion today. information doesn't get to you in time, then perhaps it stay on discussion until we have the clarity.
Right. So, I mean, I think we're good either way. I mean, we can approve it, but it's also contingent on the ceiling. You know, so we wouldn't like do this work without knowing what the ceiling situation would be.
I don't
That
know
would be
who would be
another-
comfortable voting on something when all the information is not known. I think we wait. But this is on for discussion, and then as we look to the next meeting, maybe we'll have the information in time. Any other items to discuss on discussion?
Just, can I ask some quick questions?
Sure.
Looks like, is ESS Northeast, I couldn't tell from the name, but I looked at the contract. It looks like that's like substitute Walmart.
That's the provider that we get our subs through.
But it's like, it looks like it's all kinds of subs, custodians and everything, right?
So we don't necessarily utilize them for all. We use them for professional staff.
Okay. And then, just in the interest of making sure that we don't only ever talk about sports, the guidance plan, are there major changes to that? I didn't read through every page of the guidance plan, but
I'm so happy you asked. Yes. So I'd like to compliment our counseling and social worker department led by Mr. Matt Polito. So every 3 years, the district is required to take a look at their K-12 guidance plan under Regulation 3. It's been called a 339 plan before, so if you've heard that before. And I would encourage everybody to look at the where it says monthly tiered calendar. So that is all of the programming that happens district-wide when it comes to like school counseling and lessons and also career planning, grades K to 12 by month. And then the one that says transition and career placement. That talks about different activities that happen also K to 12 to help students get ready for what's next in their life after school. And then the final document there that says FRCPP number 7, districts are required to keep an itemized list of resources and contacts for students in the different areas that they might work in someday. So when you ask the question, has it changed? I would say it really is very heavily leaning this time around on career and career readiness and, students having a plan for what comes next in their life. So the actual guidance plan, the first thing that's there is not as interesting as the 3 attachments that are below it. There are just some basic questions that they ask in the guidance plan, like, do you have a calendar of events? And then you say yes, and then you have to upload it. And so that's what that tiered calendar is then, because you just looking at the plan, you can't see all of the attachments. But our like I said, our counseling department, social workers, and also Krista Akers, who's our career advisor at the high school, took a very long look at what we offer and make sure to capture all of the great things that are happening in this district.
thank you. That's all.
Can I ask a question about 6I, about the summer food lunch program? How is that publicized to the school district population to ensure there's participation? School's out for the summer, but our students still need to eat.
I don't know that I know the specifics of how it's communicated. I know that it is communicated out. I mean, we send out emails to families, and it's on our website. I think all the normal channels that we would use. And we get pretty solid participation over the summer. So
It's really heavily trafficked.
Yep.
Oh, and we work with a lot of local agencies for part of this, right?
Are you back on the guidance plan?
No.
No, on the
Food.
food service.
Yeah. Like, there are programs that we
Oh, yes.
provide the food to, and then the food is part of the program,
Yes.
right? So there's all kinds of different ways that students can engage with this food. They can just come get food, but there are also, like, SCRC has a summer learning program where you can come and it's a half day of you get breakfast and lunch, and they read a book together, and they have actual, like, education kind of stuff happening, and I think Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or
Boys
something.
and Girls Club.
Boys and
Tech,
I get
yeah.
those mixed up.
Yes, I think the students who are here for extended school year can also like have lunch as well.
And then they do like a weekend box too for families, which I think is really cool.
Yeah. So there's opportunities for more than just food, and there are agencies in town that are also trying to get the word out.
Fantastic. Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to item 7, citizen comments related to non-agenda items. Is there anybody present who would like to come and have public comment or give public comment? Seeing none, I'll move to board comments. I don't think there's a rhyme or reason for this. I'm going to start with Dr. Lyman.
I have a whole bunch today, but they're all positive. So, well, kind of. We see these names when we have our moment of silence, and I don't always know all of them. But Denny Lehman was on there tonight, and if Levi were here, he would talk about Denny Lehman. So I'm going to do this for Levi. Denny coached with my wife when we first moved to Shippensburg, and I think he coached probably for 30 years or something in the Saya or whatever we called it before. So the basically the Little League basketball, he was involved with basketball in this community for years and years and years and years and years. And his daughters played, and he just was he was a great community member, and he was really a key part of sort of training some of our athletes who then came into our middle school and high school teams, and just really a good man. And I didn't want to gloss over that. Second, the middle school quiz bowl team is going to nationals, and I'm not sure that we've talked about that here, and I wanted to make sure that we had at least that stated to our ginormous YouTube audience. So quiz bowl is a big deal. Those kids work really hard. I know some of us, I think all of us got an invitation to be involved with the quiz bowl team, but I know that there are maybe some things in the works behind the scenes to try to help them get some funding. But I just want the board and the public to know that our middle school quiz bowl team is going to nationals, and there may be some fundraising going on. So if you would like to help the quiz bowl team, please help the quiz bowl team. This is an incredible thing that is happening in our district, and I didn't want that to go unnoticed.
And if I could just add on, thanks to the foundation for coming in and buoying that endeavor, that work to get them out to Chicago. So thank you to the foundation, for stepping in.
Yeah. So good job, quiz bowl team. Third. Greece was not about ancient Greece, as we learned from Leo last time we were here, and it was fabulous. It was fun. It was funny. It was
Amazing.
Appropriately campy. I thought they did a good job. It was fun to be there. So props to our theater folks in the district. That was really outstanding. And then I got to come here 2 weeks ago to Career Day. So I wanted to thank Miss Akers and all of the people that helped put on Career Day here at the high school. Oh, this isn't the high school, but over at the high school. It was well run. It went really smoothly. We had a lot of employers in the gym trying to attract our students for jobs. So I wanted to thank the guidance folks that we just talked about for all their work in making that a success. So thanks. That's it.
I would second that emotion on Greece. It was a great time.
Thank you, Dr. Lyman. Dr. Goetz?
Yeah, well, Greece was my first point too, so you just stole my thunder. But I feel like I say this every time, but the high school play and high school musical, they're the best shows in town. Sort of wish our auditorium was all filled up when we have those events. They're so great. It's just super fun to see the creativity and I don't know. I mean, I've grown up with I guess I've watched these kids grown up. Hopefully I was already grown up when they were little. I don't know. But I've watched these kids grow up, and it's just so fun to see them mature and become real people and be able to do these amazing things. And it was fun. It was just entertaining. Second thing, so we had this item on the discussion agenda about the laptops, and I thought this comment was more appropriate in this forum rather than that. With the laptops and the Chromebooks or whatever, I think there's kind of like two separate issues, right? There's the sort of, do we have them? And then like the sort of curriculum questions of how we use them. And I just like, this is getting sort of more and more attention nationally. And Dr. Donat, I'm glad that you sort of perked up because I'm kind of directing this, your direction. But like, we've kind of been in this lived experiment for the past decade or so about, how much instruction should be happening and what kinds of instruction should and shouldn't be happening via, our laptops in school. In a lot of ways, like I think the consensus that we're learning is that we're sort of over-relying on them in many ways. So to the question of like, should we have these and should we have sort of one-to-one, like, I think my answer to that is yes. Like we definitely should have those. And I've seen, like, even, in first grade classrooms, I've seen students use them, non-English speaking students or English as a second language, whatever, students using them to great effect. And it's been really cool to see the kinds of things that can be done with them. So we definitely live in a world where electronic literacy is critical, right? I mean, that's part of the job of education, is helping students understand that. So I'm absolutely on the side of every student needing one. However, I think there's a lot of concern about how much they're being used, and I honestly just don't know, right? I mean, I get like little snippets here and there, based on my own kids' experience and just, teachers and whatever and how they use them. I think it would be worthwhile to have a presentation or a series of presentations to help the board and the public sort of know how our laptops are being used in different grade levels and in different subjects. And I guess, as part of that conversation, I would really like us to do, kind of acknowledge, what recent research has revealed about the strengths and weaknesses of using laptops in various, sort of parts of curriculum delivery. Because I am sure that the research the research outcomes are mixed, right? I'm sure that in some areas there's tremendous positive growth and advantages for using our laptops, and in other areas we found that there aren't. I mean, just as a silly example, I mean, we're learning about the importance of the act of writing, with like a pencil and pen on sort of brain development, and not just writing, like, drawing, doing other kinds of things. And if you're sort of taking that opportunity away from kids, we might also inadvertently be taking away the opportunity for sort of more, development in these ways. So, again, not against them. I think we need them. I think we just need to be judicious. And I think the district or the board and the public would like to sort of understand better the district's strategy in delivering curriculum through our laptops. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Oates. Mr. Bard?
None tonight.
Ms. Wolfinger?
I have lots too, Dr. Lyman. So he mentioned Greece already, but I have to, again, like, fabulous. If you weren't able to go, it was amazing. The thing I love about going is that you get to see the shyest of shy kids on that stage, and they just come to life. Like, a lot of these kids I know through the music program, and they're the ones that just like are tucked away in a corner with their instrument. But there's something about when they hit that stage, they just become a different person. My daughter has not touched the stage; she won't touch the stage. But man, she did a good job with lighting, and I was so proud of her. First time she ever did it. And what I love is that pride like carries through. You know, they just like cheer for each other. It's great. So on that, Sam's is having Matilda on March 19th, 20th, and 21st at 7:30. Tickets are $5 for students and $7 for adults. And then the music department leaves, pray for me. We leave on Friday. We'll be gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday on a trip, 70 kids. Please keep me in your thoughts. So we're headed to Yorktown, down to Norfolk, to the Chrysler Museum, Busch Gardens, and then they are going to be performing at the National Museum of the Marine Corps. So, pretty cool trip.
Okay, Mr. Carey.
Absolutely ditto Dr. Goet's excellent explanation. That's, I think, probably, it's a big ticket item for the Chromebooks, and it seems like we don't always have the info to make that big ticket item. It is a big ticket item, so we want to get it right as best as we can. And to know, are we thwarting anything? Are we improving anything? What's it show in the last 10 years, 20 years? You know, so yeah, any information we get on that would be a big help for the decisions on those. Your highlights, Mr. August, on the bocce, just about bring a tear to your eye watching those kids celebrate. It was
Fantastic,
It
yeah.
was excellent.
And a state runner-up girls wrestler as well over the weekend. So,
Very good. That's it.
Wait, can I add to the bocce thing? My kid came home from school today with a form to allow him to go on a field trip to go see the bocce. Is it the state tournament?
the state championship in
State
Hershey.
championship. And I said, well, why are you so interested in bocce? He said, well, everybody's going. He said, everybody is going. And so, like, I am so happy that this is apparently being supported in a big way by the district and by the individual students at the high school who are getting behind our bocce team. It's just so cool.
You would have seen the amount of students that were there when those buses arrived. It was crazy, the amount of kids that came back to welcome them back.
And just,
Fabulous.
not to mean to interrupt, but I want to give a shout out to Vigilant Hose Company #1. With very little notice, we called them and asked them to give an escort to our regional champions through town, and they jumped right on it. So thank you to them for that, beautiful memory making act on their part.
My dog didn't like it.
Thanks. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Carey. Mr. Scott?
Yes, Dr. Jonah, you used to give us reports about how our district is doing educationally wise. You haven't given that report in quite a few months. Is there a reason? During the day? So where do we stand at?
Well, that's always a complicated question.
43%.
So, Mr. Scott, that's always going to depend on what measure you're looking at. If you're looking at the PSSA results, our PVOS data, Acadience data, there's lots of data points, and the important thing with data points is it's one moment in time on a very, very specific measure. So at any point in time, I'm happy to come and talk to you guys and present to you data, but I need to know exactly what it is you're looking for because of how complex some of our data is. I'm looking at Mrs. Wolfinger because I just presented, had one of our math specialists come in and talk.
Because I know before we was at 60-some% or something. Like Dr. Goetz brought it up about where you ranked that. We needed improved. And I just wanted to know, have we improved?
It depends on which subject and which grade level. So we are seeing really positive gains in both reading and in math in our early elementary years. We're working to understand what our data looks like at the middle school level. And so it just depends. So I'm happy to do a summary for you at any point in time.
I'd appreciate it. Just like
Sure.
if we're improving, you should get recognition for it. But if we're not getting improving, you can
We need to work and see where things need to be bolstered, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Anything else, Mr. Scott?
No, that's it.
Okay, Mr. Nagle indicated he didn't have public comment. I would like to thank Dr. Goetz because I think he really painted the picture that we're trying to assess as far as the use of technology in the classroom, that it is appropriate, it's a tool for educating students, and our job is to provide the tools for academic success. So hats off, but I still like the sound of chalk on a chalkboard. But moving on, so Mr. Donovan had indicated his resignation here this past week on Friday, and to be honest, tonight I wanted to vote no, just because we were working very closely together, and we were developing a not only good working relationship, but something that can still continue is developing a friendship. But there's a lot of time that each and every one of these board members puts in volunteering for meetings, for putting reports together, to analyzing data, to trying to understand problems, talking with constituents, talking with teachers, talking with administrators, talking with students. I mean, it's one of those things that everybody around this table is committed to doing, and there's a lot of time and effort. But when it's all said and done, we have to take care of home. And so I'm not going to vote no for Darren because of, Mr. Donovan has things he needs to do, and I support him wholly. He's been a great asset to this board, and we're a little weaker without him. But so my hat goes off to him. And last, I just want to thank my counterparts here for the confidence they place in me, and hopefully I can live up to your expectations. So that is all I have. And with that, there's information for date savers. March 18th is Buildings and Grounds Committee. March 18th is also the Budget and Finance Committee. March 19th is Curriculum and Student Engagement Committee. And then March 23rd, at the next board meeting, we'll have a Budget and Finance Committee of the whole with and Planning and Action. So, lastly, for the district, March 13th and June 3rd will be snow makeup days. March 16th is a Professional Development Day, so no school for students. And March 25th, there's a 2-hour early dismissal for students. With that, we conclude the meeting and we adjourn.